Welcome to the Army Empire Podcast, your go-to podcast for insightful tips on investment strategies, entrepreneurship, and all things money matters. Join Bernard Alerte, your guide on this journey to financial freedom. Each episode will dive into expert advice, practical strategies, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your financial future. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned investor, we've got something for everyone. So get ready to unlock your financial potential and make your money work for you. And now, let's welcome your host, Bernard Alerte.
Hello. Good evening.
Great. How you doing? Very excited. Very excited to be here.
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here too. Listen, it's been a little chilly in Florida, but we are here.
Listen, unlike the East Coast, I'm like they getting bombarded. I mean, up north they getting bombarded. I heard like there's some places 2.5, 3 feet. So
it's crazy.
It's like a winter wonderland over there, So
yes,
I don't envy that. Yep.
It is crazy. But we want to welcome our friends from up north that would be watching, whether you're watching live or you're catching the replay here on YouTube, Facebook, and on Instagram. I have Instagram here on the side. Love seeing folks jump on. Listen, you may see here on the screen, this is the YouTube channel. We love that we have now 115 subscribers. We have 95 videos from shorts to our episodes as well. And we've divided these into a playlist. The reason why we did this is if you ever have any questions or somebody, or even folks that are in this industry that are under the Army Empire, listen, this is where all the stuff is at, from women in finance, annuities, marriage and money, taxes. Like there's so many different investments. If you have a question, there is a playlist here for you. Isn't that cool?
Yes, I'm excited. That's one of the goals we always wanted to do when we think about as we started evolving through the podcast. We wanted to make sure that we have a library, like a reference where people can actually go back to and listen to. Because sometimes I find that you hear something once, it may not click once the first time, but sometimes going again, and sometimes very hard because as we get bigger and bigger, so many episodes. You gotta, which episode was that? And you gotta scroll to going through that. So, like for example, if somebody wants to say, you know what, I wanna learn more about investing. The ways to invest. So you can actually go back and you can actually go on the investing playlist, right? Or faith and finance, or all the different categories. So you can actually it just condenses everything, and you can go back and refresh yourself. So we're very excited. So we want to thank you for doing that for us, right? And for the audience, I know they're gonna get so much value out of it. Because that was one of the main intent one have, to make sure people have like a reference they can go back to and be able to learn and be able to go back and whatever missing points they're missing, go back and do it again too. So
yes,
excited.
We love that. We love all these amazing topics that you have been able to come up with episode after episode after episode. We are in episode 70. Dude, what are we going to talk about today?
Wow, it's a great app. It's crazy because one of the things that we've been asking, our firm has been actually going out there asking what is the creative ways to get conversation happening, right? And one of the questions I think is very simple and genius, right? That we can ask people is like very simple is, where's the money? Right? Where's the money? Right? Such a creative questions to ask people, because think about people work. Well, where's the money? Right? Because those are the questions that people ask themselves all the time, right? They ask themselves, well, I'm working, or as soon as they get that paycheck, right? They get paid on Friday. Well, where's the money? Right? They go back, where's the money? That's like a magic question people trying to figure out, right? So we actually started a couple people asked them, where's the money? And the answer we've been getting time and time again, they saying, what money, right? What money? It's gone. It's not there anymore, right?
Wow.
So it's a reality that concerned people have, because we talk about all these different things that people want to do and do, and they're like, well, what? There's no money. Where do I get the money? Where did it go? And that's the question. And right now it's crazy as we start 2026. People are still hurting out there. We wanna also go back episode, talk about like the need out there, where people are hurting out there to this day, and go back and see some of the things that people even aren't aware of that's happening this year, and ways for them to take advantage of the benefits things happening this year. Okay,
Ooh,
so
that's good.
we're gonna so it's gonna be a lot of information in this episode, right? What
All
money?
right.
Exactly. If you look at the next topic, what are some of the things that people have, and look at the protection gap? We talk about life. There's a major life insurance gap out there in the United States. The number of families having life insurance coverage peaked in 1971, because that was something that it's crazy that 85% of people had life insurance in 1971, right?
Mhm.
And right now the U.S. has a $25 trillion mortality protection gap, posing potential catastrophic financial challenges that are affecting people, right? So there's a lot of people out there that, God forbid someone passed away, like the breadwinner, and this is not someone where there's like the young kid. I'm talking about breadwinners, people that are making income, people that depend on their income. They pass away, God forbid, that will leave a major gap in family. We talk about that a lot, right? Another half of Americans don't have any life insurance, half.
Right.
And he's white. It's a big mistake. Half Americans don't have life insurance, right? So
Mm.
it's the craziest thing out there, because one of the things that people, and one of the reasons people say they don't get life, because number one is, there's only three reasons people don't have life insurance. Number one, they never got around to it, right? And the second one is they didn't think they could afford it. A
Mhm.
lot of people are not even aware of how much life. They think life insurance is like car is like so expensive. They think about but it's not that expensive. Some people get covered for like not a lot. For $1 a day, $2 a day, people can really get started on something, right? Pretty much, right? That's a
Mhm.
major gap. And it's crazy. We also have some stats from which is the next slide, for also
Mhm.
from US and Canada, because it's crazy. I have two people from Canada that should watch your podcast. I have it's a great it's like we have a couple relatives like, yeah, I watched the podcast, I watched that, and they're from Canada, and they're going through something too. So we want to have some stats from US and Canada also, right? Look at investing in retirement, right? Americans are worried about running out of money in retirement than dying. More people are more concerned about running out of money than actually passing away.
Mm.
It's the craziest thing, right? Because the one of the nightmares people think of, people don't want to retire at 65, 67, whatever it might be, and all of a sudden
Mhm.
75, by 70, 75, and they run out of money, and they have to find a way to go back to work or something, right?
Yeah.
It's a major challenge, right? Look at Canada. 6 in 10 Canadians worry about money, so that's happening in both countries, right? Pretty much a
Mm.
big challenge, right? And listen, investor, like, are you one of the 40% of Americans without retirement savings? 40% of Americans have no retirement, they have no money saved.
Mm.
No money saved, right? A half a Canadian for 50 won't have enough to retire. So that's a major gap. And what's happening is, one of the things that the reason that's happening for a lot of people, like, well, I can't afford to retire. I can't afford to save money for retire. I don't know where there's no money there, right? Like, we talk about, where's the money? There's no money there. So people, that's one of the main reasons people don't save for their retirement, because they really don't know to have any money. Makes
Wow.
sense?
Yes.
Exactly. So even if the debt part, look at the next slide. Look at even on the debt issue, right? And consumer debt crisis deepens. Americans are falling behind on credit cards, loans, mortgages. Is it time to worry? Americans' household debt levels a major concern for the economy. Nearly 223 million U.S. shoppers, the highest in 9 years, went to retail stores, websites around Thanksgiving. So people are having so much more debt these days. See, because the reason that's happening is because the income levels have not gone up, but all the expenses. The cost of living has gone up every single year, right? But the incomes have not gone up equally with the cost of living. So it's causing a major gap. So how do people be able to fund their gaps, right? The reason that's happening, they have to get into debt, unfortunately,
Mm.
right? Yeah, so it's causing a major challenges out there for families, which is debt.
Yeah.
And one way is and people are being, and which is a good thing, people become more aware that they need to actually make more money, find other ways to make money. And that's one thing we've always done a lot of episodes on. There's a lot of other ways to make income out there, right? And you have to find, because sometimes people have goals and dreams that are right here, but sometimes their income is down here, right? And there's only two things you can do: either decrease your goals and dreams to meet your income, or increase your income to meet your goals and dreams. So one thing most of us want to do, and that's is find a ways to increase our income to meet your goals and dreams. That's why we talk about people find more ways to earn income. If you look at the next slide, opportunity, why people are realizing more than ever. If you look at the
I just want to remind everybody, for those that are jumping, I see the numbers are going up. Today's topic is where's the money? Where's the money? You're just joining us, stay on here because we want to be able to answer that question. What money? We're talking about that right here, right now.
There's the money, right? I mean, if you think opportunity-wise, the entrepreneur, so 83% of Americans view that business ownership is a viable alternative to traditional jobs. People realize jobs are not cutting it sometimes. Working a 9 to 5 is not enough. Sometimes they have to work 2 jobs or 3 jobs and some. So we're like, listen, we're in Florida right now. We're in Florida. We find a lot of families are working 2-3 jobs. Most people are not working just one. They're doing something on the side. Yeah, because why? Because the cost of living gone up so much more. It's crazy. Back in the days, Florida was the state you moved in. Hey man, you can your money will take you so much further. But no, everything has gone up. Everything is because people are working too. So people are realizing, right? That's just a major challenge. They need to find other ways to make income, right? And again, and looking at Canada, right? Mental health declining, burnout. And that's not just Canada, United States. People working so many more hours and they're stressed out, not spending time with their family, have a good quality life. So it's hurting so many people out there, right? So people find ways, they have to find ways to make more income, different ways to make income. And you have one thing is we have to be very open for that to be able to take advantage of that situation, right? But there's some good things also that's happening. See, people are not even aware of, right? So if you look at it in 2026, next slide, there's new advantages emerging, right? In the U.S. right now, people don't realize there's like significant tax cuts out there, right? That's been happening. Significant tax cuts, tax-free tips, overtime's happening. The child tax credit has expanded, so that brings a little bit more money in households. Increase salt. What is salt deduction? People don't realize that they can actually deduct some of their state, local tax. They can deduct that on their taxes.
Really? That's what that is? Salt.
Yes. People don't realize, and I think before it was 10,000, now it's increased to almost 40,000. That people can deduct their property, different tax. You get tax, you can deduct on your taxes, right? Interest rate forward, right? Improve energy costs, right? Wage growth right now is the first time for a while there. People are making a little bit more money, right? Wage growth outpacing inflation, right? Social security increases, right? If you think of Canada, same things happen in Canada to a different way. So there's some good things happening but people are not even aware of. Make sense? Number one, they're not even aware of it, or they don't even feel it. They don't even feel it. So there's things out there for people aware of. So speak to your account. If you're not sure about the increased salt, speak to your account. That's why we talk about. We had Jen on a couple weeks ago replay, so people are aware. Speak to it. This is the time people file their taxes, right? So speak to your account. Ask them about the salt deduction. Are you maximizing that so you can actually get more money back, right? So I can help out, which is so important, right? And if you look at the next slide, also to give people an idea, right? And people don't realize there's biggest relief to middle income families in 2026 happening, right? There's new advantages emerging. Increased take-home pay for a family of 4 by $10,900. So actually, because they lowered it, a family of 4 can have almost 11,000 extra, right? But guess what happened? People not even realize, well, I don't feel it. I don't even feel it, right? In other words, right? Cut taxes. Americans earning under 50,000 by 14.9%, a little bit more, right? And 66% tax cuts benefits families making less than 500,000. So if you look at the reduction in taxes, 14% under 50,000, 50 to 100,000, 11.9, and 100,000 to 500,000, 10.1%. So there's good things happening, but people don't feel it. People are like, well, yeah, Bernard, but I don't feel. I feel like I'm getting worse.
Right.
I feel like I don't feel any better, right? So what can we do? So what are some of the things that we can do to take advantage, right? We have to talk about the bad word, B word, the budget, right? Which is a bad word, budget, right? So we have to find a way to get a grip on spending. And we talk about a couple episodes. We talk about that previous episode. So we want to go back because it comes down to that, right? We have to get a grip on your spending. We have to find out where the money's at. We have to save for money for retirement or special purchase, right? Why create a budget? Again, to get a grip on your spending, which is one thing, right? To save for retirement for a special purchase. We talk about people have a challenge saving money for retirement. To know exactly where your hard-earned money goes each month.
Right.
Right? And to avoid the debt trap. Okay. So the reason you want to have a budget is to make sure, because what happens if you not realize where your money's going, you end up using debt sometimes. Credit card, get into more debt, right? That's why it's important to create a budget, right? So let's talk about really what it's supposed to look like. Let's take a look at it, right? This is the ideal budget. An ideal budget, your monthly income should be divided between those 5 main categories, right? 30% should be housing and debt, right? 26% should be living expenses. 15% should be savings and investing. 4% insurance, and average person 25% of taxes. Okay, so this is where most people are, and most people. How can I say that, Liz? That 50% savings is almost non-existent.
Wow,
is non-existent, right? Sometimes the debt, the housing and debt is a bigger pie, right? And living expenses sometimes is a bigger pie. So for a lot of people, between housing debt and living expenses end up being more than 30, 50, 26%. And savings is non-existent for a lot of people. A lot of people save less than 2%, not even 5% of their income, 2-3%. Insurance is sometimes a little bit too high, or maybe they don't have any insurance whatsoever. So our goal is how do we recalibrate everything back to where it's supposed to be? So we have to find a way to cut a little bit of your housing and debt, cut a little bit of taxes also, right? Cut a little bit, maybe living expenses if we're spending so much more money, and cut a little bit of, maybe if you have insurance, you might be overpaying insurance, maybe cut a little bit of insurance. So what? So that savings pie, that savings, the green one, the green part, we want that pie to be bigger. We want that pie to be bigger, because when that slice, when that part pie gets a little bigger, guess what happens? The need for debt decreases, retirement, everything falls into play when we get that savings and investing pie get a lot bigger. Make sense?
Yeah.
One point, which is a step one, find out where the money's going. How much money is coming in, gather information. So this way there's work involved, right? Because so like, wow, Bernard, you talk about great news, the taxes happening, all these different tax cuts, and I don't feel it. So number one, number two, you have to gather information you need to get started. So there's some work necessary. And a lot of times, this is why when we sit down with our clients, right, with families, we can actually help them. We do that for them. Makes sense? We help them create that plan. Okay, so how much money is coming? How much is going out? Typically, this can be a real item for a lot of people. Here's how to get. Number one is you want to gather every financial statement you have, like bank statements. Is work involved? Bank statements. If you have any investment account, recent utility bills. Okay, that's important. Recent utility bills. You want to have all these bills, etc. And to also know where all your sources of income are coming in. Find out all your money is going. If you have your income, salary, if you get someone's getting child support, getting now your pension, Social Security. If they have rental income. Find all these different where all the income and gather all that together. So this is how you get started to get
even income from like a hobby or something that you're doing on a side hustle. Everything.
Any income makes a big difference. Any income, right, makes a huge difference, right? That's step two. So gather all financial statements, right, and all sources of income, everything with all the bills, utility bills, and everything also, right? And you can go, and then you can start the next step, right? The third part. If you're like a step three, you want to now step two, you want to create monthly expenses also, where how much you pay in a mortgage or rent, car payment, auto and health insurance, groceries, utilities, entertainment, college, university, everything you spend money, everything you spend your money on, you want to be able to actually itemize. Okay. Subscription. Well, a lot of people spend so much money on subscription. I did sometimes. I cut down a little bit. I cut down a lot of that, in other words, right? But those are some things that's important. Find out where everything's going. Create monthly expenses. Write it down. And there's a sheet you can write everything down. And here's the reason why. Number one is, our goal is to look at all these different areas and find ways we can decrease expenses. So if someone has, for example, mortgage, right? Are you getting the best way possible? Is there any way you can maybe lower the mortgage, right? Lower the mortgage. That's something that's important. Even electricity sometimes, right? Sometimes is people realize that if you just the basic things, if you pay attention, basic things like shutting the lights off, maybe certain things, set up the AC, find ways you can save $100 a month sometimes. But it adds up, right?
Yeah.
There's $100 a month extra. So there's ways you can find in utilities, electric, right? If someone find, maybe there's ways you can be more vigilant, right? You ever have when your parents, right? When your parents like,
I was waiting for you to say it. I was waiting for you to say it.
you're right. You know, they used to take, back in New York, you take I'm Con Edison, right? In New York, right? That's the electric company in New York, right? Con Edison and things like that. So little things like that, like shutting the lights off or set up the AC a certain level, things that can save. It adds up. I know it's funny, but it adds up, right?
Yeah.
Utilities, for example, gas, water, all these different things. Like landline cable. Sometimes average person spends like, if you have cable, spends like $280, $300 on cable. Do you need cable? Do you watch TV? Sometimes just get a basic, maybe cut it down to basic internet.
Yep.
If you think about it, right? If you think about it, if someone's not watching, even if you have kids, you can get all these channels. You can cut it down to something basic. Because think about it, people have cable. People have, they got like one company, Spectrum, Verizon here. So they're paying almost $300 for that. Then they spending an extra $100, $150 subscription. Disney, ESPN, HBO Max, Netflix, Amazon, all these different things, Hulu. They spend all the extra money. So you spend almost $300 to $400 average person on these things. Why do you need to? So if you have just, once you cut down to basic, cut down to, let's say basic cable, basic Wi-Fi, like internet, just Wi-Fi, right? So you can have less than $100 a month, maybe for average person. So you're saving, you can save $200 a month there.
Yeah.
So those are things that you can actually say. It makes a big difference, right? If you go back to the slide again, so I'm going some more expenses there so people can see, right? Car payment, maybe car insurance, right? Write down car insurance, maybe you need to switch over, try to get a best deal, car insurance.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, even life insurance, right? Sometimes people are overpaying life insurance. If you have, I can promise you, if you have any whole life, cash value life insurance index, you are guaranteed. You are overspending. You are overspending. I can tell you, you're paying way much. So people don't realize, average person, they have a whole life. You're spending $200, $300, $400 a month on a policy that's not effective. You can actually get pure term insurance for a lot less, for 3, 4, 5 times less than invest. That's more money for you to save and invest.
Yes.
For your retirement. Make sense? That's important. Credit cards, find ways. You can find, there's so many things. I can spend, and maybe a couple of episodes, we're gonna dig into those different areas so we can show ways people can actually reduce to be able to see the money, right?
Yeah.
Which is so important. Family purchases, maybe cut down on certain things you can cut down on, groceries, dining out, maybe, just people spend money on DoorDash, Uber Eats, order stuff that you end up spending. Some people do this. That's a lot of money. If you add them up, sometimes I know some people guilty. Add them up, sometimes it's a lot.
Yep.
It's a lot. So all these different things. So I can go all, but there's most people right now, even if they're living expenses, they can cut down. There's like $500, maybe $500 to $700 that they can a month that they can spend. Average person, if they really look at their living expenses, they can save about $400 or $500 a month.
Yeah.
If they really take a look at it, they can save about $400 or $500 a month. That's money you can allocate towards savings.
How often do you think we should do this? Okay, so I've done that. We've done that here, but we haven't done it in a couple months. So is it like every 3 months? Should we go back and see where can we?
Every 3 to 6 months, you should do it. You should, you don't, it's not something that we need to be like, oh my, every month, check it out. But at least every 6 months, you want to go back and revisit every 6 months, right? Like how often?
prescription that you don't need anymore, or you could trim off something.
Absolutely, absolutely. Trim something off. Maybe there's something you can do without. There's so many ways you can do it. But every 6 months, you would look just like you go to a doctor every 6 months. How often should you go? Every 6 months to a year to go to a doctor. It's the same thing with your finances. Have someone you can visit every 6 months, right? To be able to make sure you're on track. Make sense? So let's look at the next slide, right? For example, discover where the money's going. There's fixed expenses, right? Where, for example, those are ones that stay the same. Those expenses that necessarily live on mortgage, rent, internet, those are fixed expenses, payments, right? So you create a list of payment. There's fixed and there's variable expenses, grocery, gas, and dining out. Expense that change from month to month. A lot of there's fixed expense stay the same, but there's others that maybe that fluctuates a lot, right? So that's one aspect of it, right? So if you look at the next line, see, you add everything up, total your monthly income, total up your monthly expenses. Now, if the income total is greater than the expense total, you've already off to a great start. Now, you can put extra money towards your retirement or paying debt sooner, right? If the expenses are greater than your income, it's time to make some changes. It's time to make some changes. This is where when you add all up, you say, because sometimes you have extra money, you don't realize you have extra money, and you can put, I could put some money away. And if you don't, you'd be surprised. Sometimes we sit down people, they have an extra surplus of 1,000 or 50, but they realize, well, how come you're not saving any money? I don't know. Something's happening. They don't really know. In other words, right? Now, if the expenses are great, this is what we have to find. Okay, where can we cut? What can we cut down? Make sense? And it's time to make some changes. But sometimes they need to make more money. That happens sometimes too. Like we talk about, they need to make more money. So if you look at the next slide, if your expenses exceed your income, you'll need to make some adjustments. You have to make some adjustments. It's like a business. Eventually, listen, if a business spends more money than getting, that business is going to be bankrupt. It's going to be out of business. So it's just the way it works, right? And what happens is it's just a matter of time. It just is not. It can't sustain itself. See, and a lot of us in our personal finances, if we keep spending, right? If we keep spending more than we're getting, right? Guess what's going to happen? We'll be able to work. We're going to be broke. You're not going to have any money to stay retirement. You're going to be working for a long time, working in more than you should, and you're gonna be part of a statistic. Now we talk about out of 100 people at work, 54% are flat broke, 36% working. So you're either gonna be 50% flat broke, right, and 36% still working, one or the other. If those adjustments, there's no other way around it. There's no miracle that's gonna happen, right? You're not gonna win. Like, I hope you win. You're not gonna win the lottery. There's no miracle that's gonna happen. If we don't make adjustment, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. I like what Eileen says here. It is the every 3 to 6 months also. And you need a coach to get you back on track.
You need to. 100% you need to, right? To get you back on track, right? See, now that you have a list of all your expenses in front of you, will need to find some areas to cut back. Maybe you don't need, sometimes, maybe you don't need this 15, 20, maybe you spend subscription, you don't need that. But there's areas you need to cut back on. And it's not for a long time until you get back on track. See, take a look at your variable expenses first. And those are easiest areas to find ways to cut back. Those variable expenses you can find and you can actually cut down on them. Is that something I really need? Is that something I really need? Can I live without it? Can I live without that? So we can cut and you can cut back, right?
Like our nails.
Exactly. Listen, I agree with nails, but and even listen, I give you an example.
For a little while, like, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm not gonna do my nails. I'm gonna put,
Exactly. Listen, even group person, myself, right? I remember I used to get a haircut every week. I used to go to barber every single week, and that was just something you did. Guys go barber every single week. Back then, you go to barber, it's like $10, $15 for a haircut, then $5 for tips, or a barber was like $20. So at the end of the month, $80. Listen, I have to see my barber tomorrow. It's $40 before even tip anything starts. So I go every week. I don't need to go every week, So what I do, I actually go every 3 weeks. I go every 2-3 weeks. In other words, I deal with it, and I know sometimes I feel, but I don't feel for me to say I'm gonna spend. Some people spend 80 every week, spend like 50, $60 on grooming. It just right. Now you, I don't know, unless you're Frenchie doesn't need, right? Because you take everything off, right? You don't need anything, right? But I just those are things that are not necessary. This right now, if your expenses exceed your income, you'll need to make adjustment. Now, yeah, right, you can cut back, right?
Mhm.
Let's look at the next slide now, right?
Mhm. This is so good.
This is when it's good. Keep up the good work. See, now that you create a budget, make sure you review every monthly to make sure you're staying on track, right?
Mhm.
Take a few minutes to compare actual expense to what you create in your budget. This will show areas you did it well, those you need to improve on. And sometimes, listen, sometimes avoiding it doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it go away.
Mm.
Avoiding it doesn't make it go away. It's not gonna make it better.
You're still gonna be broke.
It's still gonna affect you, right? So it's like sometimes, listen, sometimes people are afraid to go to a doctor because they're afraid they're gonna find something out.
Mhm.
Right? But not going to the doctor is not gonna make, if you have something, it's not gonna make it better, it's gonna make it worse. If you catch it early,
Mhm.
right? So either you're gonna deal with the pain of change now or pain of regret later.
Yeah. Yeah.
The change now, the pain of regret. And I can honestly tell you the pain of regret lasts a lot longer than the pain of change.
Mhm.
Pain of change is just temporary. It's just something temporary that you just gotta go to. Maybe you have to cut down a little bit, adjust here and there, right? But the pain of regret lasts so much longer. So take the time and just look at the budget, find out where the money's going. So
So good.
when some people ask you when we ask you where's the money, you can say, I know exactly where it is.
Mhm.
Not
Yes.
what money. I know exactly where it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I think this is a great topic to kind of get people thinking, get people thinking, and get people say, you know what, I need to start moving in the right direction. So because to be able to it's about becoming debt free and financial independent. That's all it's about. It's about having a great quality of life and be able to not have to struggle to feel like you're getting something, making something, getting some out of it. Now you work 40, 50 hours a week. You're taking time away for your family to make income, have the money work for you. Right.
Exactly.
And only way that's gonna happen is you need to know where the money goes. It's just you have to find out where the money goes and find ways to improve it. If something needs to be adjusted, then let's make adjustments.
I
Make
love
sense?
it.
And you're
So
not by
this is
yourself. I'm
good.
gonna help you.
Yeah, you have a coach to have you recalibrate, look at the numbers again. Thank you
Mhm.
for spending so much time on this particular slide and breaking it down for us so that we were able to, and my fingers hurt because I was taking a lot of notes today.
Yes. Mhm.
I love that you took time with this spreadsheet. This particular episode, you will find it in the playlist called budgeting. So there is a
Yes.
playlist that's called budgeting. This one is going in that playlist because he literally broke down what is the income down to even if it's a hobby, something that you're doing, a side hustle. If you're
Mhm.
a part-time photographer, part-time,
Yes.
and you're just doing it for fun, but that
Mhm.
thing is bringing you $200, you have to add that $200 in there.
100%. 100%. It makes a big difference. People don't realize the power. $200 invested in a mutual fund 20, 30 years is a couple $100,000 end up accumulating. So the
Mhm.
power 200 doesn't seem like a lot, but over a period of time makes a big difference.
Yep. Yep.
Big difference. Yes. Every
So
dollar makes a
good.
difference. You'd be surprised.
Yep. Then we'll have the money to say, here goes the money. Let me show you the money.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
good. Thank you, Bernard, for such a great episode. Episode 70, folks. We keep going through these milestones. I love it.
Thank you so much. And we're gonna try maybe next couple of episodes go to more details, different areas, and how you can find different areas to cut down. Maybe we'll look at that.
I love this. Do the things you don't want to do now so you can do all the things you want later.
Exactly.
Hello.
Exactly.
Mic drop, so good. And yes, really important to get into the budgeting. Listen, thank you all for watching us on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and joining and commenting and participating. We love when you guys participate. We love when you participate. So
We
thank you
do.
for joining us tonight. And we will see you next Tuesday right here with another amazing topic. The Army Empire Podcast, here to save you on all things money matters. Gracias, Bernard.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. So be safe up north. If you're up north, stay warm. Be safe. Don't go outside. And all right.
Be good.
Thanks for tuning in to the Army Empire podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. Join us next week for another exciting edition. And until then, keep building your empire.